Hi everyone, welcome back to Finance Empire Real Life Stories. Before we begin today's journey, I want you to imagine something for a second. Imagine you are sitting in front of your laptop during the biggest meeting of your life. Your future depends on this moment. Your boss is watching, the company executives are watching, your camera is on, your presentation is perfect. And then, everything disappears. No Wi-Fi, no signal, no voice, no connection. In 1 second, your entire digital life goes dark. What would you do? Would you panic? Would you give up? Or would you fight your way back online no matter what it takes? Today's story is not just about technology. It is about pressure, resilience, quick thinking, and surviving in a world where one blinking router can destroy months of hard work. And while you enjoy this emotional and high-pressure story, you are also going to improve your English naturally. You'll learn advanced vocabulary, professional expressions, modern workplace English, and real-life phrases people actually use during stressful situations. So grab your coffee, relax, and let's begin today's story. Marcus believed in preparation more than luck. For years, he had built his career carefully, almost scientifically. Every promotion, every successful project, every compliment from management had come from discipline. He was the type of man who arrived early to meetings even when they were online, the type of employee who answered emails at midnight because he wanted people to know he was dependable. His home office reflected that personality perfectly. The room looked less like a bedroom and more like a command center. 3 massive monitors glowed softly on his polished desk. A wireless keyboard sat perfectly centered beside a leather notebook filled with handwritten strategy notes. Even the lighting behind his camera had been adjusted carefully to make him appear calm, professional, and trustworthy during virtual calls. Marcus understood something important about remote work. When people only see you through a screen, your digital image becomes your identity. If your internet is smooth, you look competent. If your microphone crackles, you look careless. If your screen freezes, people assume you are disorganized. Everything depended on appearances. Today was the biggest day of his career. After 6 exhausting months of late-night research, market analysis, and endless revisions, Marcus was finally presenting his global expansion strategy to the executive board. If the presentation succeeded, he would become regional director before the age of 35. The promotion meant more money, more respect, a better future. But more than anything, it meant validation. Marcus wanted proof that all the lonely nights and sacrificed weekends had been worth it. At exactly 8:55 a.m., he adjusted his tie and looked at himself in the black reflection of his monitor. "You've got this," he whispered quietly. His heartbeat felt steady, controlled. Outside, the neighborhood was peaceful. Birds chirped softly in the distance while sunlight spilled through the blinds. Everything felt perfect. At 8:59 a.m., the meeting notifications began appearing rapidly. Ping, ping, ping. One by one, the executives entered the virtual boardroom. Marcus recognized every face immediately. The CFO, with the cold expression. The operations director who never smiled. The CEO herself, famous for destroying weak presentations within minutes. Marcus inhaled slowly and clicked, "Join meeting." "Good morning, everyone," he said confidently. "I hope you're all doing well today." A few executives nodded politely. Someone sipped coffee. Someone muted a barking dog. Marcus shared his screen and began. His presentation was flawless. The charts transitioned smoothly. The numbers lined up perfectly. His voice carried authority without sounding arrogant. This strategy could increase international revenue by 22% within 18 months, Marcus explained while pointing toward a colourful graph. The CEO leaned closer toward her screen. That was a good sign. Marcus continued speaking with growing confidence. He was winning them over. He could feel it. And then suddenly, the CEO froze mid-blink. Marcus stopped talking for a second. At first, he assumed it was normal lag. Virtual meetings always had tiny delays. But then another face froze. And another. And another. The audio became robotic and distorted. Then silence. Complete silence. Marcus stared at the spinning loading icon in the center of his screen. "No," he whispered. His stomach tightened instantly. He looked down at the corner of his monitor. The Wi-Fi symbol had disappeared. A cold wave of panic rushed through his body. He turned toward the router sitting beside the bookshelf. The blue light was gone. Instead, an amber light blinked slowly like a cruel warning signal. Marcus grabbed his phone immediately. Come on, he muttered desperately while activating his mobile hotspot. His hands shook violently. For a brief moment, hope returned. The laptop detected his phone's connection. Connected. Marcus refreshed the meeting link. Nothing loaded. Then he looked at his phone again. No service, not even cellular data. The entire area was offline. Marcus suddenly realized the terrifying truth. This wasn't a normal internet outage. Something bigger had happened. His carefully constructed digital fortress had collapsed completely. And somewhere inside that silent virtual boardroom, executives were probably moving on without him. Marcus jumped out of his chair so fast he nearly knocked over his coffee mug. He shoved his laptop into his leather bag, grabbed his charger, notebook, and car keys, then sprinted toward the front door. Halfway there, he caught his reflection in the hallway mirror. Professional blazer on top, pajama pants underneath. Normally he would have laughed. Today he didn't care. He burst outside into the humid morning air. The peaceful neighborhood suddenly felt terrifyingly disconnected. People walked dogs normally. Cars moved casually through intersections. Nobody else seemed aware that Marcus's entire career was collapsing in real time. He jumped into his car and started driving recklessly toward the nearest coffee shop. His mind raced through possible solutions. Coffee shops, libraries, hotels, anywhere with internet access. Every red light felt personal. Every slow driver felt like an enemy. Marcus checked the clock again. 7 minutes had passed. The Daily Grind Cafe appeared ahead. Marcus parked horribly across 2 spaces and ran toward the entrance. Locked. A handwritten sign hung behind the glass door. Closed due to local power and network outage. Marcus stared at the sign in disbelief. A woman standing nearby looked at him sympathetically. It's the whole district, she explained. No Wi-Fi, no cellular service, nothing. Marcus didn't answer. His eyes scanned the street desperately until they landed on a large hotel across the road. Hotels had backup systems. They had generators. They had private networks. Hope returned instantly. Marcus sprinted across traffic, without waiting for the signal to change. Inside the hotel lobby, cool air hid his face like relief itself. The lights were working. The reception computers were running. Good. Marcus opened his laptop immediately and searched for available networks. A hotel Wi-Fi signal appeared. He clicked connect. Then another problem appeared instantly. Please enter your room number. Marcus stared at the login screen helplessly. The front desk line stretched across the entire lobby. Frustrated travellers argued loudly, while employees struggled to manage the overloaded systems. Marcus felt completely trapped. That's when he heard a familiar voice behind him. Marcus, is that you? He turned around and saw Mr. Henderson, his elderly neighbour from down the street. The old man sat comfortably in a velvet chair, reading a thick hardcover biography, as if the world wasn't falling apart digitally around them. Mr. Henderson, Marcus breathed desperately. I need help. Within minutes, the retired librarian introduced Marcus to Leo, the hotel's exhausted night manager. Leo looked sceptical immediately. You need internet access right now, he asked. My entire future depends on it, Marcus answered honestly. Leo hesitated for a moment before sighing heavily. Fine, follow me. They descended into the hotel basement through a heavy maintenance door. The further they walked, the hotter the air became. Laundry machines thundered loudly nearby. Steam pipes hissed overhead. The entire basement smelled like detergent and metal. Finally, Leo opened a tiny maintenance office hidden beside the boiler room. There, he said while pointing toward an old Ethernet cable hanging from the wall. Direct hardline connection. Ugly but reliable. Marcus nearly cried with relief. He plugged in his laptop immediately. The connection icon appeared. Online. Marcus reopened the meeting link while sweat dripped down his forehead from the basement heat. Please don't end the meeting. Please don't end the meeting. The screen loaded. The executives reappeared. The CEO looked surprised. Actually, Marcus interrupted calmly before anyone could speak, I'd like to continue exactly where we left off. The room went silent. Marcus adjusted his camera slightly, hiding the ugly boiler pipes behind him as best he could. I apologize for the interruption, he continued smoothly. But adaptability is part of leadership. A few executives smiled, and suddenly something changed. Marcus stopped trying to sound perfect. Without his polished slides and beautiful graphics, he relied entirely on his voice, his confidence, and his ideas. For the first time, the board wasn't staring at animations. They were listening to him, really listening. By the end of the presentation, the CEO leaned forward thoughtfully. "Marcus," she said quietly, "where exactly are you?" Marcus glanced around the sweaty basement office, at the giant boiler beside him, at the orange cat rubbing against his leg. Then he smiled tiredly. "In a hotel boiler room," he admitted honestly. "But I wasn't going to disappear that easily." The executives laughed softly, but the CEO didn't laugh. She nodded slowly with genuine respect. And in that moment, Marcus realized something important. His real strength had never been his internet connection. It had never been his expensive monitors or perfect office setup. His real strength was resilience. Technology could fail, systems could collapse, connections could disappear. But character remained. That night, Marcus sat quietly on his porch after the internet finally returned. The sky glowed orange and purple above the silent neighborhood. For the first time in years, he ignored his phone completely. Because after spending an entire day fighting to reconnect with the digital world, Marcus finally remembered how to reconnect with himself. And that, sometimes, is the most important connection of all. I'll see you in part 2. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Before we begin today's story, I want you to imagine something for a second. Imagine you are sitting in front of the biggest meeting of your entire life. Your future depends on your next few words. Your boss is watching, the clients are watching. The promotion you dreamed about for years is finally within reach. Your heartbeat is steady, your presentation is perfect, and then suddenly, everything disappears. The screen freezes, the internet dies. And just like that, you vanish from the room. What would you do? Would you panic? Would you give up, or would you fight your way back? Today's story is not just about technology failing. It's about pressure, resilience, problem solving, and discovering who you really are when your perfect world collapses around you. And as always, while enjoying this real-life story, you will also improve your English listening, vocabulary, and speaking skills naturally. So grab your coffee, relax, and let's step into Marcus's world. Marcus loved control. Every morning started exactly the same way. His alarm rang at 6:00 a.m. Sharp. Not 6:01, not 5:59. He believed discipline was the secret language of successful people. By 6:15, he was already standing in his modern kitchen, making black coffee, while scanning overnight emails on his tablet. His apartment looked less like a home and more like the headquarters of a technology company. Triple monitors covered his desk. LED lights glowed softly behind expensive speakers. Every cable was perfectly hidden. Every notebook was aligned at precise angles. To Marcus, professionalism was not just about hard work. It was about presentation, especially as a remote worker. In the digital world, people judged you in seconds. If your microphone echoed, you looked careless. If your internet lagged, you looked unprepared. If your camera quality looked poor, people silently assumed you were less competent. Marcus understood this game better than anyone. That was why today mattered so much. Today was the global strategy presentation. 6 months of research, 6 months of sleepless nights, 6 months of sacrifice. If this presentation succeeded, Marcus would finally become regional director. At exactly 8:45 a.m., Marcus adjusted his navy blue blazer and checked his reflection in the monitor screen. "Perfect," he whispered. He clicked open the meeting room early. One by one, executives from different countries began joining the call. New York, London, Dubai, Singapore. Some smiled politely. Others looked cold and impatient. Marcus knew people like this respected confidence more than excuses. At 8:59 a.m., the CEO joined the meeting. She was famous inside the company for being brutally honest. People feared her silence more than her anger. "Good morning, Marcus," she said calmly. "Good morning, everyone," Marcus replied smoothly. His voice sounded rich and confident through his expensive microphone. Everything was going according to plan. He shared his screen and began the presentation. The first few minutes were flawless. Graphs appeared smoothly. Statistics impressed the board members. Executives nodded in approval. Marcus felt unstoppable. Then suddenly, the CEO froze mid-sentence. Marcus blinked. Another executive froze too. Then another. The audio cracked into robotic static. And then, silence. The presentation disappeared. Marcus stared at the top corner of his screen. No internet connection. For a moment, he didn't move. His brain refused to accept what was happening. No. He looked toward the router on the shelf behind him. The light was blinking red. Not blue. Red. The kind of red that instantly destroys your peace. Marcus grabbed his phone so quickly he nearly dropped it. "Come on," he muttered while activating the hotspot. His hands shook violently. The laptop searched for networks. Finally, his phone appeared. Marcus connected instantly. For one beautiful second, hope returned. Then the signal vanished completely. No service. Marcus's stomach dropped. The entire neighborhood network was dead. Wi-Fi gone. Cellular gone. Everything gone. He stood up so fast his chair rolled backward across the room. Outside, life looked completely normal. Birds chirped peacefully. Cars moved casually through the street. Somewhere nearby, a dog barked happily. Meanwhile, Marcus felt like his entire future was collapsing. He checked the time. 11 minutes. That was all he had before the board moved on without him. Marcus grabbed his laptop charger, stuffed papers into his bag, and sprinted toward the door. Halfway there, he looked down. Dress shirt. Professional blazer. Pajama pants. He had completely forgotten he was still wearing pajama bottoms beneath the desk. "Fantastic," he groaned. But there was no time to change. He jumped into his car and sped down the street searching for any place with internet access. Coffee shops, libraries, hotels, anywhere. His heart pounded harder with every red light. The first cafe was closed. A handwritten sign on the door read, "Power outage. No Wi-Fi available." Marcus felt panic tightening around his chest like a rope. He drove to a second location. Same problem. By now, sweat covered his forehead, despite the air conditioning blasting through the car vents. Every minute felt like another nail in the coffin of his career. Finally, he spotted a large downtown hotel. Hotels always had backup systems. At least that was his hope. Marcus parked badly and ran inside carrying his laptop bag. The lobby buzzed with frustrated travelers complaining about system failures. But the lights were still on. Good sign. Marcus immediately opened his laptop. A hotel network appeared. Relief flooded through him. He clicked connect. A login page appeared asking for a room number and guest information. Marcus stared at the screen in disbelief. "You have got to be kidding me." The front desk line stretched across the lobby. There was no way he would reach the counter in time. Then suddenly someone called his name. "Marcus!" He turned around. It was Mr. Henderson, his elderly neighbour. The retired librarian sat calmly in a chair, reading a massive history book, while chaos exploded around him. "Mr. Henderson," Marcus said breathlessly. "You look like a man being chased by ghosts," the old man replied. Marcus laughed nervously. "It's worse. I'm being chased by deadlines." After hearing the situation, Mr. Henderson waved over a young hotel manager named Leo. "This young man needs help," he explained kindly. Leo looked exhausted, but after hearing Henderson's request, he reluctantly nodded. "Follow me." Marcus followed him through narrow hallways, down concrete stairs, and into the hotel basement. The air smelled like metal and steam. Large machines hummed loudly around them. Finally, Leo unlocked a tiny maintenance office behind the boiler room. "There's an old hardline connection here," Leo explained. "It's ugly, but it works." Marcus almost hugged him. He quickly plugged the Ethernet cable into his laptop. The internet symbol flickered, then connected. Marcus nearly collapsed with relief. He immediately reopened the meeting. The screen loaded slowly, very slowly. Finally, the executives reappeared. The CEO looked ready to end the call. Marcus inhaled deeply. "Sorry for the interruption," he said calmly, though sweat rolled down his neck. Every executive turned toward the screen in surprise. "Mr. Marcus," the CEO said slowly, "where exactly are you?" Marcus glanced around the tiny boiler room. Pipes rattled behind him. A cat wandered across the desk. The lighting made him look like a fugitive, hiding underground. "I'm currently presenting from a hotel boiler room," he admitted honestly. For a second, nobody spoke. Then, unexpectedly, several executives laughed. The tension broke instantly. Marcus stopped trying to sound perfect. He stopped relying on polished slides and rehearsed corporate language. Instead, he spoke like a human being. He explained the strategy with passion instead of performance. He talked about adaptability, problem solving, leadership under pressure. And strangely, the meeting became even stronger than before. The board members listened more carefully now, not because of his technology, but because of him. When the presentation finally ended, the CEO looked directly into the camera. "Marcus," she said quietly, "today you demonstrated something far more valuable than technical preparation." Marcus waited nervously. "You demonstrated resilience." The meeting ended. Marcus sat alone in the hot basement room, staring at the blank screen. For the first time in years, he realized something important. His value did not come from perfect Wi-Fi, or expensive equipment, or flawless presentations. His value came from his ability to stay calm when everything fell apart. That evening, Marcus returned home exhausted. The internet had finally returned. His router glowed blue once again. But somehow the apartment felt different now. Quieter. Less important. Marcus stepped onto his balcony and watched the sunset without checking his phone. No notifications, no emails, no meetings, just silence. And for the first time in a very long time, silence felt good. Sometimes life disconnects us for a reason, not to destroy us, but to remind us who we are without all the noise. And maybe that's the real lesson of today's story. Thank you so much for listening today. I hope you enjoyed this real-life English story and learned some powerful vocabulary and expressions along the way. Now, I want to ask you something. Have you ever faced a moment where everything went wrong at the worst possible time? What did you do? Tell me your story in the comments because I truly love reading them. And if you enjoyed this journey, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more emotional, real-life stories designed to improve your English naturally. In the next story, we're going to explore a different kind of pressure. The pressure of pretending to be successful while secretly falling apart inside. Trust me, you do not want to miss that one. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep believing in yourself. Goodbye.